Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scared Soldier bringing another Borderlands 3 gameplay. And in this footage, you see we have the Warlord, one of my favorite assault rifles in the game. And recently, with the recent patch, obviously it's a DAHL AR, so therefore it has got another buff to it. All the DAHL ARs have a 35% increase in weapon damage. So this is what the gun's looking like right now. It has now 822 damage. Then you got pretty good accuracy, pretty good handling. So basically you can hit fire with this weapon pretty well. Decent reload speed, not terrible, but again, we spec quite heavily into reload speed with Zane, so it should be no problem. Really good fire rate and a nice magazine size. Now, obviously, the one I have is fire, which is super awesome, and it is anointed for Sentinel. So again, I'm going to try to get the maximum damage with this weapon. And if you read down below that tiny little sentence, it also has a 30% chance not to consume ammo, which is fantastic. So that is really cool about this weapon compared to some of the other DAHL ARs in the game, is that it has a chance not to even consume ammo. So yeah, you could probably make an infinite ammo build with this gun if you have the right anointment with the digiclone 12% mag size thingy-majiggy going on. So without further ado, let's take this gun into battle. But first, I'll show you the build real quick. So I'm using obviously the best build in the game, running gun Zane build. For those who don't know, I have a video on my YouTube channel in full detail on it. But anyway, so here's the build, guys. Real quick, you can pause the video if you want to check it out. I will be making a quick build update in the next video coming probably today, so stay tuned for that. So that's the digiclone tree, and then here's the hitman tree, what I'm working with right here. Normally, I actually have 6 out of 5 for playing dirty, but right now I'm using the class mod right over here. So it has assault rifle damage and weapon damage also on it to help my AR. And I'm using the Rough Rider Adrenaline Shield just to show you how insane this gun is in terms of health steal. And I don't even basically have any capacity on the shield. So I'm going to see my survivability. And also, I'm using the Piss with the Icebreaker Victory Rush. Of course, the artifact, in my opinion, does matter because it does have the Sentinel Cryo Anointment, so we will be freezing enemies, therefore getting more damage, etc., etc. And the rolls are pretty godly on this too, not gonna lie. So let's get right into it. Let's go say hi to Grave War real quick. So we have arrived to the floating tomb where we love to farm Grave Ward at. Let's add another kill to Gearbox's stats, statistics. All right, let's start shooting. Okay, so far I love the fire rate already. That's awesome. And obviously the damage, I mean, is doing damage for sure. Look at that. No problem staying alive. Health steal is there. Awesome. Oh yeah, this gun, we're already halfway through his life already, and we're just using the basic stats of this gun with our Sentinel Anointment. We're not using elemental projectors, lighting ourselves on fire. We don't even have good god rolls in this Mayhem 4. It's like plus 30% SMG damage. So this is just pure raw gun damage with our class mod. And as you see, I already melted Grave Ward. I mean, this gun, woo! I'm pretty impressed so far. I want to see what it does in the raid and see how viable it can be. That's the ultimate test. So let's take it over to the raid, boys and girls. Over at the raid now, we're still using the same Warlord. Here's the modifiers real quick. Plus 20% cryo damage, no big deal. Now, obviously, I'm not really using anything else. We're still using the same Warlord I showed in the beginning. No surprises here. Same anointment. Same amount of damage. We're not using any glitches or any fancy stuff like that. I wanted to just show you guys the weapon, obviously with the best anointment for Zane. So let's see how it performs in the freaking takedown, guys. I want to see how much damage we're going to get from this gun. So the first couple things you want to know with the Warlord, again, is not to forget that this gun does have a 30% chance not to consume ammo, which is one of the main perks that I like a lot about this weapon. Also, the fire rate is super great. And because the accuracy and handling is more on the higher end, you can hit fire with this gun. And the benefits to hit firing is that you can get more damage because obviously you're moving faster. When you zoom in, you're aiming down sights and stuff like that and trying to strafe, you lose a little bit of speed. So to get maximum damage with a character like Zane, it's best to hit fire a lot of your weapons. So that's what we're doing here, and this gun allows us to do so. Now, obviously, we're doing a crazy amount of damage here. We're having no problem with enemies with shields, with armor, or obviously health bar. And keep in mind, we are using the fire version of this. We're not using a shock, and we're not using the corrosive either. And you're seeing these enemies' health bars going down like it's nothing, which is very surprising. The other thing I want to highlight quickly is that you see my health down below. It has barely went down a notch, and it is constantly staying full as long as I'm shooting enemies. Reason being is, again, this gun is doing a high amount of damage. Therefore, salvation is paying full dividends for me because, again, I'm getting 15% health steal per shot per damage that I do. And obviously this gun is doing in upwards of thousands and thousands of damage. So every shot basically refills my health to full. And that's super amazing. So survivability is there. And obviously I'm not using a huge shield right now. I'm not using the transformer. I'm not using a stopgap to keep me alive. This gun is doing it all for me right now. The next test right now, we're going to go kill this Kraken. Let's see what it does. All right, let's reload. Wow. Look at the damage, guys. Okay, so this gun is honestly the real deal. It just melted the actual Kraken. Obviously not as fast as a redistributor and all that crap, but like for just a fire, it's not even corrosive. I can only imagine what a corrosive would do to that Kraken. This is a fire and it's killing any kind of armor, shield, or health in the game right now, as you see, and it's just melting, guys. So the small things I want to touch on this gun to keep in mind is that, again, you want to make sure you're hip firing. You want to make sure you are constantly paying attention to all the things around you in the game, because again, you're basically going to be shooting probably one enemy at a time, because again, it's not a chaining weapon. So you got to pay attention to your mini map a lot to see where the enemies are coming from to keep yourself alive. And other than that, this gun is doing what it's supposed to do. I think the next test is obviously we're going to take this to the Valkyries now, because that is where all the questions are going to be answered. We killed the Kraken like it was nothing. Now it's time to review how this gun is going to do against the Valkyries. At the Valkyries now, so we are going to be killing these little troopers real quick, and then we're going to begin to the Valkyries. Now the only thing is, I think that for the Valkyries, because they have higher, stronger shields and stuff like that, using a fire warlord is obviously not optimal to really wreck them. In terms of their shields, obviously once we get down to the armor, I feel like this gun is going to do a lot of damage like it did to the Kraken. So yes, already you see it would be better to have a shock version of this weapon to obviously get down to the Valkyries shields right out the way, and then you can pull out the cryo, the corrosive, or the fire one, and it's going to melt down the armor like you see right here. No problems dealing damage to him, getting him into his immunity phase essentially. Now again, for those who probably maybe wanted to experiment and try to solo the raid, or just solo the main part of the raid until you get to Wotan, I would suggest bringing multiple elements with you, kind of like with the redistributors. I would bring maybe a shock version of the warlord, a corrosive, and you can either have a fire or a cryo on you. So again, once you reach the Valkyries, you can rip out their shields with the shock one, and then pull out your corrosive one to do maximum damage, and you will have no problem soloing most part of the raid. And then once you get to Wotan, if you want a challenge, you can do it, and it's gonna take a little longer killing him with the warlord compared to like the Cutsmans, the recursions, the lobs, and all that stuff in the game. But again, it's just another way of doing things differently instead of always using the same weapons, the same boring redistributors and stuff like that, because I mean, we've been using them for the last couple weeks or couple months now, so it is fun to use different weapons. Now again, with that 35% bonus damage buff to all the Dahl ARs, you really do see a huge difference in how much damage these things are doing. Again, I haven't went down once. I'm taking out the Valkyries no problem. As you see here, their health is just ripping down. I'm not even using the element that you need to melt down armor. So again, I'm really enjoying the warlord, especially that little sentence down below that people never seem to see, because people are like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't consume ammo. I'm like, yeah, read down below, man. It doesn't. It has 30% chance not to absorb ammo, to use ammo, excuse me. So that's really fantastic. So right here, there's no more immunity phases now. We're going to go raw into this, you know what, and let's go kill the rest of these Valkyries here. So let's start off with this one here, Hildre. Boom, she done. So now we got another two, and look at this. He's doing the ultimate attack right now on us, and we all know how detrimental that ultimate attack can be, and we survived that no problem because we're getting that much health steal. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you like the Warlord, and I hope you guys give it a try, as you see. So thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. It's your boy Scared Soldier signing out. Peace.